And welcome to another Pixel Maven project tutorial. This time we'll be working on this really cute happy birthday card, and it could actually be a happy anything card because we'll be using this stamp set called Happy 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 from Lawn Fawn, and the three large happies have coordinating dies. We'll be using those today. And this will come together pretty simply, so you'll be able to create lots of these. It's a great card for a beginner who's just getting used to doing the whole stamp and die thing. And then we've got some coordinating paper in the background that is from Remembrance. This is their Memories paper. It's actually by Color Play. This is a Remembrance series. And on one side we have the stripes, and the other side is a beautiful floral pattern. So you could flip it around if you're looking for something a little more feminine. I love it because it's got this awesome sheen to it, which really adds a lot to a card design. But let's get started because it's pretty simple and we can be done with this one lickety split. So we're going to start with the stamping, and originally I used the frayed burlap distress oxide color, but I think this time I'm going to do candied apple because I'd really like the letters to stand out a little bit more than they do. So we'll go ahead and get that set up in our stamp positioner. And the reason I'm using my stamp positioner is because I want to allow for restamping if I need to. Generally, when you have a good ink up of your distress oxides, I have too much stuff on my tabletop, guys. When your distress oxides are nice and loaded up with ink, you shouldn't really have a problem with this. But it's always nice to have the option to restamp because you never know when your hand is going to go in just the wrong way. So I'm going to give myself enough room to cut these out with the dies. So I'll leave a little bit of space around them, and that should be good enough. All right. So the great thing about the distress oxides and the regular oxide, or the regular distress inks, excuse me, is that they do dry pretty quick. Sometimes I like to use the distress oxides because they are kind of like a pigment ink, and they just really have a nice bright hue to them. So even though I'm not taking advantage of the oxide part of it, they still give me that great impression that I'm looking for. All right, so that's pretty good. And now I can go ahead and let this dry for just a minute or two while we put together our card base. Okay, so the card base is super, super simple. I have my 110-pound Unisolar white, and then go ahead and align that. I have it scored already. I like to cut a whole bunch of card bases at once and score them so that I can just pull it when I need it. This color here is called, and I'm going to pull this out, it's called Wax Lips by Basil. And it is a fantastic shade of kind of almost an orangey red, but it's a great patriotic-y kind of red color. And you can see I was testing out some stamping with white. I thought maybe I would do white on red instead of the red on white, but I decided for white on red. So that'll go on the back. No one will ever know it's there. And go ahead and line that up. I just ordered some scrapbook.com adhesive sheets, and I think that I might switch to those over these because, especially for these flat panels, because it'll just give it a really good stick down. All right, and with this glossy paper, I would definitely recommend either a liquid glue or an adhesive sheet kind of situation because of the sheen. It may not stick well with a traditional tape runner. It's hard to say, so I don't use it. All right, so that's our card base. Super simple. Like I said, this is really great for a beginner because you get to put together this background and it goes together really quick. So actually, before I die cut this, I'm going to go ahead and stamp my sentiment. And I think this time, instead of doing like happy birthday, I just might do like let's just do happy mail because I might just send this to a friend who is just getting some happy mail. Beautiful. So that'll dry real quick while I'm setting up my dies. So I have some of my, I've got Post-its. I've got some used Post-its. And these are pretty easy to line up. That one. Just the next one. So really it's just about eyeballing these. And I really do like to get my head kind of right over it to make sure that I have them aligned. And then of course using a Post-it, even though you might have a magnetic platform, sometimes the magnet makes the die jump, right? And that is so, I hate it when that happens because you're like, I just stamped this whole thing. Maybe it's something you colored and all of a sudden your die jumps and you're like, really? I spent all that time. So I find that I just keep resorting to the Post-it notes. If you have any tips or tricks on that while I'm putting this together, tell me what you do to keep your dies in place. Okay, so that's good. And I can just pop these guys here, get this on top, run it through my Big Shot, which is right next to me. And these really just need a once through. They're not going to, they don't take a lot. See, they just want to pop right out. This guy here. Okay, so see, look, we're already on to assembly. It's been just a few minutes. With the 12 by 12 paper, of course, you can make quite a few of the same card. So if you wanted to have a pile of them, or if you wanted to change up the color in the background a little bit and maybe choose a few different sentiments, you could do that. So let's bring in a reference card. I did not use any adhesive sheets on the backs of these. Of course, you could do that too if you prefer that method to get these to stick down. The lettering on this is thick enough that I can just put some Tombow on it. And it does not really stick to the shiny paper so well. So if I do happen to get a little of overrun, it really does come up quite simply with an adhesive eraser. Of course, the trick is you want to make sure that this adhesive is dried completely. So that way you don't pull up any of the paper underneath. Apparently I went a little overboard with the adhesive. I was not expecting that. All right, so we'll add in our next, and I'm just going for the same little setup that I did before. I'm not getting creative or anything, showing you any alternates. Of course, you could kind of put these in any order you wanted to. I'm really happy with the way that these are kind of interlocking together. So I'm just going to stick with what looks good to me. All right, one more happy. I did move it over a little bit to the left though. Of course, if you feel like you have better control when you're putting this down to glue it, you can use tweezers. Like for this happy, I would have used maybe tweezers. Okay, so that's all in place. I can snip out this little nail. And this one, of course, doesn't have to be perfect. You could even put it, like so. Let's do that. There we go. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to do is take some of these Alta New enamel dots, and I found that this lightest color really looked good. And I do like the pattern that I really set up on these. So I kind of have these two, so a large and a medium with like a small one down here somewhere. So that's like one little triangle. And then up on the top, I just have this little arc, but I'm using a large and a small with a medium kind of in between. And there you go. So 2 takes on that. You can tell that by using the red here, it really helps this background pop out a little bit more. This one, I think, brings the blue more to the forefront. So it's up to you, whichever you prefer. I hope you give this card a try because it's super fun, even though it is geared towards a beginner. Of course, it looks great for any skill level to put together a quick card like this. Thanks for joining me for this Pixel Maven project tutorial. I'll see you at another one sometime soon, but until then, happy crafting.